Here we go. This is Marley from the Black Father Support Group. Welcome to one of our catch-up sessions. This is a pre-session catch-up session because we haven't had a session for 2016, but I needed to talk to you with regard to something that I saw online a couple of days ago about young Jaden Smith, the son of Will Smith. This guy is 17 years old. And now he is the new face of Louis Vuitton women's wear. So here we have a young black man who's going out, strutting his stuff in high heels, in kitten heels and short skirts, and making his living that way. And it bothers me for two reasons. First reason is that this is clearly a requirement for you to be able to pursue or grow your career in Hollywood, to at some point show yourself as effeminate or as a female or as homosexual. His dad had to deal with it before him, and now he's having to deal with that same thing. Second reason is I think that this allows for people to continue a rhetoric where it starts to normalize the confusion and the collapsing of gender roles. Also, this is, as far as I'm concerned, a failure on the part of Mr. Will Smith and his wife. I have a lot of respect for Will Smith. I'd love to meet Will Smith. And at the same time, I had to shake my head at what I saw with Jaden, because I'm like, how could you as a father co-sign that behavior? So let me just break down a couple of things about what I was thinking. So there we are. We have Will Smith, big first film he comes out with is 6 Degrees of Separation, in which he plays a gay man. And what he has to do in order to be able to start pursuing his career is to start off with showing himself in that kind of sexually confused state. And I say sexually confused because when you have someone who's straight and then he's playing this gay role, it starts in the minds of people watching, start to say, hold on a second, well then, there's nothing wrong or there's nothing strange in having someone who is straight sleeping and kissing with someone who is of the same sex as them, because it's just for a role, right? You start to see that as normal. That starts to confuse what you saw as the roles. Now they're now being changed. It can sound like a bit of a reach, I granted, but when you start to look at how many black men are having to do this in their career. Let's take Kevin Hart, for example. Great comedian. Another guy I'd love to meet. And he did one movie. It was called Soul Plane. It was terrible. It was absolute garbage. And, he also did a bit part in 40-Year-Old Virgin. It's like a real small part. Sort of part where you wouldn't even notice he was in there. You have to go back and watch him go, look at that, it's real, it's this guy. After he went on to SNL Live, dressed up as a little girl in a purple silk dress, for no reason, he just skipped about and clapped his hands. He was able to then start doing much bigger roles, much more roles for much more money, and he's been stratospheric ever since. You look at someone like Chiwetel Ejiofor, the brother from 12 Years a Slave. Love Chiwetel Ejiofor, great actor. And, he did a film called Kinky Boots, where, again, he's playing a transsexual. So he's, again, these sort of effeminate roles or effeminizing roles that are given to black men. Dave Chappelle spoke about how he was being forced into a position where he had to take a role where, he was wearing a dress and he couldn't understand how, that wasn't in the script that he had signed up to play. We see it with Martin Lawrence, bless him. He's had to do that on more than one occasion, but it doesn't seem like it's made any difference to his career. And we've seen it with plenty of brothers, plenty of them. If they're not doing films, they're doing adverts. If it's not, like I don't even know the brother's name. It's an American guy, um, big time athlete, and he's there dressed up in a blonde wig for Allstate. And what was so weird was that Allstate, when I used to live over there, the advert for Allstate was done by this real suave looking brother with a deep voice. Now they've got some black guy in a wig. I'm like, why was that? That was the Hoopers was the name of the thing that they were doing. So they had like a whole bunch of melon eating, um, you know, coon like stereotypes to depict this family called the Hoopers, as in hooping. So it was like real kind of dirty, low down shaming and laughing at the African American community over there. And it's as part of an advert. We saw Usain Bolt, fastest man in the world. No one can ever take that away from him. You know, he's there as an icon. And what did they do? They had him wearing a dress for Virgin Media. So it keeps happening, whether it's in the media, whether it's in movies, or whether it's in advertisement. And as a young person growing up, seeing that's becomes normal. That becomes your norm. You're used to seeing that. That becomes open and available to you. I have no problem with someone who is, who's gay, or who chooses to be gay, or who has been born gay. I mean, if that is your experience, who am I to try and tell you, well, no, that's not true? All I do know is that this world is big enough to have a whole manner of experiences. So if that's what's going on for you, then, so be it. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is that there is clearly, some kind of memo that's gone out trying to start to feminize the black man. There's few black men out there who are doing well in movies. Brothers like Idris Elba, like Denzel Washington, who have been able to steer through the mire and not have to, prostitute themselves in that way. We're seeing more and more of our brothers having to take on these strange roles. And so that is why it really concerns me what's going on with Jaden Smith, because I think that his father having to do that first film, 6 Degrees of Separation, didn't want his son to have to deal with that as well. So what he tried to do was try to bypass the hurdle, which is, or the payment that you need to do as a black man to Hollywood and show yourself as effeminate. And so he helped to write and bankroll and produce that film that he did with his son. Was it Day After Tomorrow? I can't remember the name of the film. It's so forgettable. But that's what I think he tried to do. I think he tried to bypass that by having his son lead and be the lead main character as a young black man, bypassing his fears, going through, challenges, going further than he thought he can go to get to his goal of being able to save his father. I think his idea was, you do that, then he doesn't have to deal with all the stuff I had to deal with as an actor. And it backfired because I think that, the way that Hollywood and critics saw the film, they decided they were going to pan the film, make the film just flop, and it did flop. And now this is Jaden Smith having to pay reparations to those people that his father tried to get him to get past. I think that Will Smith should have told his son, we are wealthy enough that we never have to work again. You don't have to do this. You could do something else. You could do music. You're great at music. You could have found something else. You didn't have to go down that road. And here we are, Jaden Smith is now the face of Louis Vuitton. And young men growing up are going to continue to see this as normal, as it's okay. I predict in 20 years' time, if you call someone straight or you call someone gay, they're likely to slap you because they're going to see that as an epithet. Like, how dare you call me straight? Don't you know that I had a boyfriend this week and a girlfriend last week? Don't you know that there is no such thing as gay and straight anymore? Because the gender roles or your sexuality has now been so mixed and matched and mushed together that there's actually like this whole thing is starting to change. So there used to be straight and there used to be gay. So it was S for straight, G for gay. Now there's L, B, G, T, Q. And today I found out there's an I as well. I don't even know what I is. I saw LGBTQI. I was like, oh my God, there's a whole nother thing out there. These are the things that young people are going to be coming up against. So we as fathers need to be cognizant and be knowledgeable about this stuff, because it's very easy as fathers to kind of think, okay, well, your girl's growing up, that kind of stuff around sexuality, let's leave that to the mum. Problem is that what happens is that our children on their phones and when they go to school, they're being taught this stuff by those cave people about what is right and what is wrong. And what they'll teach them is that everything is right. Right now, there is a piece in The Guardian that was written today. Today is the 5th of January. There was a piece in The Guardian today about how most men have designs on children, on underage children. So it can't be wrong. That's the logic they're going with. Pedophilia used to be seen as a crime. It's now seen as a mental illness. So you won't get put in no max prison anymore. You'll be put in maybe a secure hospital, with day release and all that kind of stuff. So these things are changing. They're changing fast. So we as fathers need to be aware of this and start talking to our children about it. Don't be a Will Smith and just say, hey, son, hey, daughter, the world's your oyster. You can decide, or you can decide to be whoever you want to be. Because even though it'd be nice to do that and just say, hey, you're a free expression, your energy, you can be whatever you want. Go ahead and, let the universe help you decide. What happens when you do that is that those children get their cues from the media. And as I explained before, the media is teaching your sons to wear dresses, wear wigs, be homosexual, and that may not be necessary for your son until your son starts to see it as normal and it's becoming the norm. It's becoming a thing where I can go out on the streets of London right now and I'll see a billboard with a man dressed as a woman selling insurance, for example. I will see a man now dressed as a woman selling a dress to women. So when those images are being flashed at you on a regular basis, it starts to become normal. You don't even see it as wrong. You're too busy on your path doing what you got to do that you may not even take in the fact that you're seeing this around you, but it is actually being absorbed by your subconscious, and to the point where that's just whatever. So I really want to encourage our fathers and our mothers that we need to start being a lot more careful, a lot more interested, because if we're not going to have grandchildren. We're not going to have great-grandchildren. Our family line is going to end because the normal way the normal way of doing things is now changed. The rule book has been torn up, and by the time 2 generations have passed, the rule book would have been thrown out the window. So we need to work on it now. This is Marley from the Black Father Support Group. I love having you as a audience. Take care of yourself. Join us at our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/BFSG UK. Until next time.